Welcome to Stories and Songs by Afterglow Music. My name is Joel McCausland.
And I'm Kevin Peay, and we've been creating music for a long time.
We'd like to tell you the stories behind our songs.
Today we'd like to take you back to 1984. Wow. And a song called Teddy Bear Corner.
Will you come down to Teddy Bear Corner? Can we step back in time? I'm going back to Teddy Bear Corner, back to the time when you climbed on my knee, back to the days you were mine.
Joel, what was going on? What was going on in your life at that time? I can remember what was going on in mine.
Well, tell me.
But you take it first. Let's have you take it first.
Pretty interesting time, you know. We both got home from missions in 1982.
You served.
I was in Tokyo, Japan.
I served in Missouri, St. Louis, and Nauvoo, Illinois.
Yeah. And over that next, gosh, what was it? Maybe a year and a half, we both got married.
Woo.
What was that? June of 83 for you?
June of 83, the floods of 83.
Yes, right in the middle of it. I remember navigating to your wedding reception in a kayak, I think.
Yeah, it was a river at the Salt Lake State Street, by the Salt Lake Temple. We remember that, all the sandbags, and then we came to the reception, and we thought, nobody's going to show up. We're going to have a whole bunch of extra food. And people still came, like in their kayaks.
In their kayaks, yeah. Well, maybe not really, but yeah, it was like that. It was trying to find your way to places. You had to get around the blockades and the barricades they'd built up.
Oh, and you were my best man that year.
Yeah.
And you wore a brown tuxedo, I remember, with a peach ruffled shirt.
The question is, did I decide that or did you guys decide that?
I think my wife decided that.
I can't remember either.
Okay, so that's a memory that, it's a great memory, but what else was going on in our lives at that time?
Well, the other thing that's always struck me as just crazy. So, we both get married. I was about 6 months later. Kelly and I got married in January of 1984. And shortly thereafter, we found out that both of our wives were pregnant. So we were going through some big changes that year, just kind of crazy stuff. And and they were both of our wives were expecting in December, just before the end of 1984. You should tell this. What happened on the 13th of December in 1984?
Well, I don't remember the specifics about the phone call, except I do remember that we learned very quickly that both of those kids came on the same day.
Just a few hours apart.
7
or 8 hours apart, I think.
And you named your little girl Brittany, and we named our little boy Joshua.
Yeah. And I'm not sure they love the fact that they were born on the same day. That might not matter that much to them, but I always thought that was cool.
Well, we had a lot of fun with it as we went down the road.
We did, yes.
In regards to it as they grew up and as we went on different places, we always had a ton of fun together.
It's always been kind of a special connection between those two. They always wish each other a happy birthday, and
yep.
It's a good thing.
And can you believe they're almost 40?
I know. This is actually really appropriate now because here we are 40 years later, and today's song is a song about our kids. So it's kind of a nice time to sit and reflect a little bit.
Now, this one you specifically wrote for the experience of Brittany, right?
Yeah. So I really don't know what was going through my mind, but like any first-time parent, I'm sitting, I think it was a Saturday afternoon, and it was a few weeks before Brittany was born. Brittany and Josh were born. And I'm thinking about the prospect of what was happening in our lives and becoming a father. And of course, obviously never had that experience before, didn't know how to deal with it or what it was going to be like or that whole thing. And I think I was a little bit inspired by a song by Kenny Loggins, The House on Peay Corner.
Oh, yeah.
Cool song. And it's a little bit about that.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of thinking about that, and I thought, that'd be kind of cool to write a song about this process we go through with bringing our kids into the world and trying to be there as a good influence for them and raise them up and do what we can to help them have a great, happy life. And then the other side of that was sort of the circle of life, the concept that someday they're going to get older and they're going to go through all the things, the stuff I'm going through right now. Someday they're going to have kids of their own. Sometimes that circle's going to do a full turn and we're going to be in a different place. And so that's what I was thinking about when I sat down on that Saturday. And the song came pretty quick, pretty easy. It was like, I guess maybe it was really weighing on me a little bit. And I sat down and wrote most of the song in that afternoon.
So I remember that during that time period, we had finished like Greatest Gift with Deseret Book. That was our first project. And then some of these other songs were coming, like love songs and Teddy Bear Corner, and you had been writing and I'd been writing. And eventually that showed up on our second, I believe it was our second album with Deseret Book.
Deseret Book, yeah.
Which was called It Takes Love.
Yep.
So it was really one of those opportunities that we had experienced in that time in 1984 and a little bit prior, about some of those romantic emotions and family emotions that we were experiencing. We found a way to put them on an album.
That's actually pretty interesting because Teddy Bear Corner, as a songwriter anyway, Teddy Bear Corner gave me, I don't know what it was, confidence that I could write a song other than a spiritual, gospel-oriented song, you know. And there's a little bit of that maybe even there, but it was like I sat down and wrote this song, and I intended it to be sort of a pop country / kind of a you know, flavor in it. And it was kind of the impetus for then thinking that next album, It Takes Love, where we could sit down and between the songs we wrote and songs that other people contributed, we could create an album that was a totally different take for us. And that was kind of cool.
And when that happened, we actually had a band that went around with us and we sang love songs.
Yeah.
Do you remember doing the Marriott concert?
The Marriott?
Yeah, the Marriott down at BYU, Marriott concert.
I don't know if I remember that one.
Do you remember going up to Hart at the old Rick's College?
Definitely remember Women's Week at Rick's College.
And singing some love songs. Do you remember what we wore when we sang the love songs?
I hate to even think about it.
I had a white Angel Flight suit. I remember that, though. It was like, what was that?
I am really glad there are few, if any, pictures of that time.
Well, anyway, back to the song.
Yeah, you know, thinking about the inspiration for this, I mentioned House of Pooh Corner, but the other one that's kind of maybe become more meaningful to me over the years is Cats in the Cradle by Harry Chapin.
Oh, sure.
And that was a song that I kind of grew up with. And it's, for those of you who don't know that, that's a sad song, right? I mean, it's a song about a dad who isn't there for his kids. He lets everything else get in the way. He lets work and other pressures. And it's always like, we're going to do that someday. We're going to go have the fun. We're going to go play ball. We're going to do all the other things we should do. And I certainly have a feeling that there are things that should have been better. You know, even looking back now, things that I should have done better or times I should have spent. Always tried to do that. Always tried to support my kids. But boy, the message of that song, Cats in the Cradle, always kind of hits me between the eyes about how easy it is to lose sight of the times we should be having with family and the bonds we should be creating and the good things that we should be focused on there, the priorities, you know. So I was thinking about that too, and it kind of plays into that song a little bit. I hope it's not as sad as that song. I hope it's more hopeful and more positive, but certainly that was part of the inspiration for it.
Well, I remember when we do the concert, I'd have to kind of do my little unique version of this. You were Teddy Bear Corner, and I was Will You Come Down to Little League Baseball is what I was dealing with, you know,
right.
Looking forward to Little League Baseball. But you were Bose and different things, and we were kind of on the opposite side of that for a minute.
You know, that it lent itself in a really cool way to performance. And we did some fun things with this. I remember some of the concerts we were talking about, places we were out there with a band and doing a live show and kind of having some fun with it. And whenever we would do this song, we would, at least initially, it was always Brittany because she was my first. But I have four girls, and they were all little girls at one time or another. And over that next maybe decade, as those kids grew up, there'd be times when, you know, we'd bring Brittany up on the stage and she would sing with us, or one of your boys sometimes. I remember one concert where we had all of our kids. We probably had, I don't know, 5 or 6 between us at that time. And then as Brittany got, sometimes she thinks she's too old for that, right? She's getting to be a teenager. Then Becca or Brenna or Betsy might have come up and sat with us. And those were really cool memories. And I think in their own way and in their own time, all my kids enjoyed that opportunity to come up and be part of that. You know, there's another kind of full circle moment about this song that was cool for us. Gosh, this has been maybe a year ago, just about a year ago. Our granddaughter, Brittany's daughter, Harper, turned 16, and they did a big party for her. It was kind of they rented a hall up in Farmington and brought mostly family at this time, not so many of her friends, but kind of a traditional thing from her dad's side of the family, and they had this moment where Brittany came to me, and it was kind of cool. Hadn't been thinking about it. We were invited, of course, to the party, but we weren't going to do anything. And my daughter Brittany, for whom this song was written, came to me and said, as a surprise to Harper, I want to sing Teddy Bear Corner during this party. And so Brittany and I sat down at the piano and sang Teddy Bear Corner to her daughter, and really did kind of bring the message and the importance of this song full circle to all of us. And honestly, I don't know if, Harper probably never heard it before. Maybe it didn't mean so much to her, but it was awesome for me to have that moment with my daughter. So
that's really so cool. It's been a fun song to be able to hear and play through the years, to sing with you, harmonize with you on this, and the story has just been great. So as we leave today, we're going to play the song Teddy Bear Corner, and thanks for listening to this episode of Stories and Songs by Afterglow.
It's quiet here tonight, but this room still feels like you. And off in the corner, with painted on smiles, sit Teddy and Winnie the Pooh. I'm spending time tonight with all those memories. Guess I'm holding on too tight. Can I learn to set you free? Will you come down to Teddy Bear Corner? Can we step back in time? I'm going back to Teddy Bear Corner, back to the time when you climbed on my knee, back to the days you were mine. I remember oh so well, pretty bows and dainty shoes, the times you'd come crying when you skinned your knee. I'd hold you a minute or two. The years went by so fast, training wheels to high school proms, misty memories from the past. I just can't believe you're gone. Will you come down to Teddy Bear Corner? Can we step back in time? I'm going back to Teddy Bear Corner, back to the time when you climbed on my knee, back to the days you were mine. I hear your voice outside. It's so good to have you home, and walking by your side is a child of your own. Will you come down to Teddy Bear Corner? Can we step back in time? I'm going back to Teddy Bear Corner, back to the time when you climbed on my knee, back to the days you were mine, back to the time when you climbed on